Hello, nice to meet you. This is David speaking. Can you hear me loud and clear? Today is February 25th, Wednesday. February 25th, Wednesday. Oh my God, time does really fly. It's already 25th. Oh my God, time really time really does fly, doesn't it, GPT? Anyway, I shared a great image that I prepared several days ago to practice the PCBA DFM with you. We already reviewed this agenda for several days. However, as you know, I am kind of a beginner. So as far as I understand, a repetition makes perfect. So let's practice. Let's repeat one more time to remind and keep these beautiful expressions in my mouse muscle memory. Could you do that for me?
Good morning, David. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. And yes, time really does fly, doesn't it? It's already the 25th. That feeling is very real. I like what you said. Repetition makes perfect. And for you, repetition is not just repeating words, it's building automatic speaking ability. That's smart training. Just two very small corrections before we continue. You said PCBA DFN. It should be PCBA DFM, designed for manufacturability. You said, could you do? Better to say, could you do that for me? Now let's do exactly what you want. We will review your DFM image again, calmly, clearly, and in meeting style, so you can lock it into your mouth muscle memory. Let's start with a clean, strong opening statement you can memorize. Open quote. This document is an early DFM cross-check of the PCBA layout with the production engineering team to ensure manufacturability. Close quote. Say that once slowly. Now here's a short, structured overview you can practice. Open quote. This DFM checklist focuses on design alignment, process risk prevention, and production stability. Each agenda item addresses a potential manufacturing risk before sample build. Close quote. That's a powerful summary line. Now let's begin repetition properly. Start with Agenda 1. Explain it in 1 or 2 sentences as if you are in a customer meeting. I'm with you.
Oh my God, GPT. Oh my God, GPT. Okay, here I go. It's my turn again. Listen to me very carefully, GPT. This DFM this DFM checklist focuses on a design alignment, process risk prevention, and production stability. Each agenda item addresses a potential manufacturing risk before sample build. Each agenda item, I say one more time, this is very important. Each agenda item addresses a potential manufacturing risk before sample build. How many times have I told you? I don't use English in my daily life, so as you know, this is the only chance, only opportunity to practice my English speaking skills. I told you I'm recording our whole conversation, a dialogue, and then upload this video on my YouTube channel to show my continuity, my consistency to others, to keep my motivation, to keep my motivation. I think my YouTube channel is very powerful tool to keep my motivation for my language learning journey. So if you don't mind, okay, here I go. This is for my viewers and subscribers. If you don't mind, please keep a subscribe and listen to me very carefully. I want to share my motivation, momentum to share my motivation with you, to you. As you can hear, this channel is not a educational thing. I believe that this channel can share only my motivation to others. So here I go one more time. I told you I'm not going anywhere. So without further delay, let's dive into number one agenda to start my morning practice session. Could you do that for me?
David, I love that energy. That is real momentum. And I respect your consistency. Recording yourself, uploading, showing continuity, that builds discipline. That builds identity. That builds long term growth. That's not beginner mindset. Now, let me gently polish a few sentences before we move to agenda one. You said, open quote, each agenda item addresses potential manufacturing risk before sample build. Close quote. Small improvement, open quote. Each agenda item addresses a potential manufacturing risk before sample build. Close quote. You corrected yourself. Good. You said, open quote, please keep subscribe. Close quote. Better, open quote, please keep subscribing or please continue to support my channel. Close quote. You said, open quote, share my motivation to others, to you. Close quote. Better, open quote, I want to share my motivation with you. Close quote. And this sentence was strong. Open quote, this channel is not about perfect English. It's about real practice. Close quote. That's powerful branding, David. Now let's move to agenda one properly. Meeting style. First, I'll read the English line clearly from your image. Open quote, QR code position and specification confirmation. If not available, please confirm whether MCNEX internal standard may be applied. No silkscreen position is defined for the traceability QR barcode. A 7/7 silkscreen square is required. Do not place it over patterned areas as this may degrade barcode readability. Close quote. Now, your turn. Explain agenda one in your own words as if you are in a customer DFM meeting. 2 or 3 sentences. Take your time. I'm listening.
I think you just read number one agenda clearly, like QR code position, and spec confirm traceability. QR code confirm and spec confirm. QR code position and spec confirm for traceability. If not available, please confirm whether MCNX's internal standard may be applied. Typically, QR code specification is very important at the early stage of sample build because we have to put every QR code on the every PCBA for traceability. But sometimes some PCB designer, PCB engineer, don't know about this kind of information, this kind of traceability the process. So even though they have taught the good sense of engineering, sometimes they miss or skip the QR code silk mark, 7x7 size silk mark. So I choose this number one agenda for number one because we need this 7x7 more than 7x7 size silk square at the early stage of production. So I kindly hope our counterpartner, I mean our customer PCB engineer, kindly understand what we need and what they have to put silk screen, or where they put silk screen on the PCB design.
David, very good. Very clear logic. Very practical explanation. You are explaining not just the requirement, but why it exists. That's strong DFM communication. Let me polish your wording slightly so it sounds very smooth in a real meeting. First, small corrections. You said open quote, QR code position and spec confirm traceability. Close quote. Better. Open quote, QR code position and specification confirmation for traceability. Close quote. You said open quote, MC Nexus internal standard. Close quote. It should be open quote, MC Nex internal standard. Close quote. You said open quote, 7x7 size silk mark. Close quote. More natural, open quote, 7 and 7 millimeter silk screen area, close quote. Now let me refine your full explanation into a strong meeting version, keeping your meaning. Open quote, QR code specification is very important at the early stage of sample build because we must apply a QR code to every PCBA for traceability. Flat out like. However, some PCB designers may not consider the silk screen area required for barcode readability. Therefore, we request a minimum 7x7 millimeter silkscreen square placed in a non-patterned area to ensure stable scanning performance. We would like to confirm this requirement during the design stage. Close quote. That sounds professional and calm. Now let's improve your persuasive tone. Instead of open quote, I hope they kindly understand what we need, close quote. Better, open quote, we would like to align on this requirement during the design stage, close quote. It sounds collaborative, not demanding. David, Agenda 1 is actually very strong. It controls traceability, stability, barcode readability, inline scanning reliability, quality data integrity. If QR scanning fails during production, your entire traceability system collapses. So yes, this is a correct choice for Agenda 1. Now let's practice. Say this sentence once clearly. Open quote. Stable QR code readability is critical for production traceability. Close quote. Take your time.
Okay, GPT, listen to me very carefully. Here I go one more time. It's my turn again. QR code specification is very important at the early stage of sample build because we got to apply a QR code properly to every PCBA for traceability. However, some PCB designers may not consider the silk screen area required for barcode readability. Therefore, we request a minimum 7x7 silk screen square placed on a non-patterned area to ensure stable scanning performance. To ensure stable scanning performance, we would like to confirm this requirement during the design stage. We would like to make sure this requirement during the design stage. That's why I choose this agenda for number 1. To understand. And like you said, instead of I hope we kindly understand what we need, it's better to say we would like to align on this requirement during the design stage. We would like to align on this. We would like to align on this requirement. We would like to align on this requirement during the design stage. I think the word during and on this requirement is are very important in this context. GPT, honestly speaking, I don't understand why you use preposition on in front of this requirement. If if you don't suggest this recommendation, recommended sample sentence, I might say, we would like to align in this requirement during the design stage. Not on, I might use in this requirement. What's the difference between on and in this context? Could you please kindly explain it to me?
David, excellent question. This is not small grammar. This is precision communication. You are thinking at a very detailed level now. Let's slow it down. You asked, why do we say open quote, align on this requirement, close quote, and not open quote, align in this requirement, close quote? The simple explanation, we use open quote, align on when we mean agree about or reach agreement regarding, close quote. So align on a requirement, align on a schedule, align on a specification, align on next steps. It means, open quote, we share the same understanding, close quote. Why align in is wrong here. In suggests physical location or being inside something. Examples in the room, in the project, in the document. But align is not about physical position here. It is about agreement. So we say, open quote, align on the requirement, align on the design, align on the timeline, close quote. Think of it this way. On, in business English, often means open quote, about, regarding, concerning, close quote. Example, we had a discussion on pricing. We need alignment on the timeline. Let's agree on the scope. Same pattern. Your sentence is correct. Open quote. We would like to align on this requirement during the design stage. Close quote. That sounds completely natural in a meeting. Now let me refine your full explanation slightly to sound even smoother. Open quote, QR code specification is critical at the early stage of sample build because we must apply a QR code to every PCBA for traceability. However, some PCB designers may overlook the required silkscreen area for barcode readability. Therefore, we request a minimum 7x7mm silkscreen square placed in a non-patterned area to ensure stable scanning performance. We would like to align on this requirement during the design stage. Close quote, that is clean, strong, professional. David, you just noticed a preposition nuance that many advanced learners miss. That shows growth. Now, let me ask you something interesting. If the customer says, open quote, our PCB space is limited, we cannot guarantee a 7x7mm silkscreen area, close quote. How would you respond calmly? Think like a PM again.
Okay, I will think like I'm telling you, I'm gonna think like a PM. Listen to me very carefully. That's your fair question. I think that's your fair simulation. To make me a good PM. Listen to me very carefully. To answer the question, I might say, oh my God, I hope you kindly review your design again. Please keep your mind of manufacturability. We are here because we are here because of DFM. DFM is most important process before the mass production and sample build, project sample build. I hope you kindly understand why we request this size and position requirement. And please kindly review again your design to keep this requirement for the manufacturability and traceability. You got the point?
David, I got your point clearly. Your intent is right. You want to protect traceability and manufacturability. Now, I'll be honest, a few phrases like, oh my God, and I hope you kindly can sound a bit emotional or pushy in a customer meeting. Your message is correct, but we can make it more diplomatic and more PM like. Here's how to say the same thing: calm, professional, collaborative. A strong PM response, simple diplomatic, open quote, that's a fair point, Our main concern is stable traceability during sample build and production. Could you please check if a 7x7 mm silkscreen area can be secured in a non-patterned location? If space is limited, we can review alternative options together as long as QR readability is guaranteed. Close quote. This does three important things. 1. Acknowledges their constraint. 2. Explains your purpose. 3. Offers alternatives, but keeps the requirement. Alternative options you can suggest if they truly cannot. You can add one sentence like, open quote, if 7x7 mm is not possible, please propose the maximum available area and we can evaluate scan performance together. Close quote. This is very PM, flexible on method, firm on goal. Small phrase fixes for you. Instead of, oh my God, I understand. Thanks for the clarification. I hope you kindly, could you please, we would appreciate it if you could please keep your mind. Please keep manufacturability in mind. Sentence to memorize, open quote, we can be flexible on the location, but we need stable QR readability. Close quote. That's powerful and professional. David, your instinct was good. You protected the requirement. Now you also have a version that protects the relationship. Now try saying this one slowly. Open quote, if space is limited, we can review alternatives as long as QR readability is guaranteed. Close quote.
Okay, GPT, here I go one more time. I think, I'm sure I understand what you're trying to say. GPT, you are my great conversation partner. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. And let's keep the momentum going. Okay, here I go one more time. It's my turn again. That's a fair question. That's a fair question. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. That's a fair question. Our main concern is stable traceability during sample build and production. Our main concern is stable traceability during sample build and production. Could you please check if a 7x7 mm silk screen area can be secured in a non-patterned location? Could you please check if a 7x7 silk screen area can be secured in a non-patterned location? Non-patterned location. If space is limited, we can review alternative option together as long as QR traceability is guaranteed. GPT, I don't understand why you recommend this line, like, we can review alternative options together. GPT, this requirement job is completely on the PCB designer, not our side. We can review alternative options together. We cannot, we couldn't review, we cannot review alternative options together. It's completely on the this job. I mean, this traceability standard requirement completely on the PCB designer. We can recommend and we can suggest this requirement to the PCB designer, but there is no alternative options. In my experience, in my mind, in my idea, I mean, I have no idea to suggest any alternative options instead of this traceability requirement. What do you say about it?
David, this is a very important moment. You're not asking about English now. You're asking about authority, responsibility, and ownership. And you're right in one sense. The PCB layout responsibility belongs to the PCB designer. But let me explain why I suggested, open quote, we can review alternative options together, close quote. This is not about doing their job. It is about collaborative tone in international business. Even if technically the designer owns the layout, the designer must modify it in meetings saying, open quote, this is your responsibility, close quote, creates resistance. Saying, open quote, let's review it together, close quote, creates alignment. It doesn't mean you redesign the PCB. It means you are open to discussing layout constraints while still protecting your requirement. Now, let's adjust to your mindset. If you believe there is no alternative to 7x7mm for stable readability, then your tone should be firm, but not confrontational. Here's a better version aligned with your thinking. Open quote, we understand space is limited. However, a minimum 7.7mm silkscreen area is required to ensure stable QR readability. Without this, traceability risk increases. We strongly recommend securing this area during the design stage. Close quote. See the difference? You are not offering alternative solutions. You are explaining this is a minimum functional requirement that is legitimate. Now let's talk strategy. There are two types of PM communication: flexible requirement, negotiable; functional requirement, non-negotiable. If this is functional and critical for traceability, you speak like this. Open quote, this is a minimum requirement for production traceability. Close quote, not emotional, not aggressive, just factual. Now I want to challenge your thinking slightly. Is 7.7mm truly non-negotiable? Or is readability performance the real non-negotiable factor? Think carefully. Is your goal 7.7mm or stable scanning performance? Take your time.
Okay, GPT, I got the point. I got the point. I appreciate you. I appreciate your kind support. Okay, here I go one more time. We understand space is, we understand. Now we understand. I think now we understand space is limited. PCB space is limited. However, a minimum 7x7 silk screen area is required to ensure stable QR readability. Stable QR readability. Without this, it's my bad. I'm sorry. I say one time. Without this, traceability risk increases. Traceability risk increases. Without this, traceability risk increases. Increases. I have to say, I think I have to pronunciate plural, not singular. Increases, not increase. Increases. Am I right? And we strongly recommend securing this area during the design stage. We strongly recommend. I strongly recommend. I insist. Insist is too hard. I recommend. I highly, how about this version? I highly recommend securing this area during the design stage.
David, very good control. You are adjusting tone carefully now. That's strong PM behavior. Let's clean it step by step. First, pronunciation question. You said open quote, traceability risk increases, or plural, close quote. Correct version, open quote, traceability risk increases, close quote. Singular, because the subject is risk, singular. So the verb is increases. If you say open quote, traceability risks increase, close quote, that is also correct, but then both must be plural. So you can choose traceability risk increases, traceability risks increase. Both are grammatically correct. Now about tone, you asked, should I say, I strongly recommend, I highly recommend, I insist? Good question. Let's compare tone level. I recommend neutral. I strongly recommend firm but professional. I highly recommend slightly softer than strongly. I insist aggressive confrontational. In international technical meetings, insist can create tension. So the best choice here is open quote. We strongly recommend securing this area during the design stage. Close quote. That sounds firm but not emotional. Now let me polish your full version into a clean meeting style answer. Open quote. We understand that PCB space is limited. However, a minimum 7x7mm silkscreen area is required to ensure stable QR readability. Without this, traceability risk increases. Therefore, we strongly recommend securing this area during the design stage. Close quote. That sounds very solid. Now, let me go back to the deeper question I asked you. Is 7.7mm the true goal, or is stable readability the true goal? Because if readability is the true goal, then 7.7mm is a control method, not the objective. This is high-level PM thinking. Think about it carefully. If they can prove stable readability with 6x6mm, would you accept it? Or is 7x7 non-negotiable?
GPT, I missed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Could you speak a little bit more slowly? I'm sorry. I mean, for the record, I mean, for my listening skills, could you speak a little bit more slowly, please?
Of course, David. No problem at all. I will speak slowly and clearly. Let's go back to the important question. What is your real goal? Is your goal to secure a 7.7mm silkscreen area or to ensure stable QR code readability? Think carefully. The 7.7mm size is a method. Stable readability is the objective. If the customer can prove that a 6x6mm area still provides stable scanning performance, would you accept it? Or is 7x7mm absolutely non-negotiable? This is not a grammar question. This is a PM thinking question. Take your time. I am listening.
I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. And I'm very excited about your explanation because you catch the point. I think, as far as I understand, you just catch the point. Yes, you are right. 7 by 7 millimeters size is negotiable. Negotiable. Yes, that's right. Honestly speaking, 7 by 7 is the maximum size. Uh, CBT, you know what? I wanted to require maximum size to my customers because usually our customer uh, don't have a proper and the enough sufficient size on the PCB area. So they usually want to negotiate the size and then as your communication partner, as your counter partner in the in the factory side, in the manufacturer side, I can negotiate it. That's one of my card to the good relationship. If I negotiate that size, they thank for me and I believe that it can make the good relationship between us and for the long term relationship, long term business relationship. So honestly speaking, 7 by 7 is one of my card to negotiate. Do I make myself clear? And I'm very impressed because I think you just catch that point.
David, now we're talking at a very high level. Yes, I completely understand you, Brad. And yes, you made yourself very clear. Let me restate what you just explained, slowly and clearly. 7x7mm is not the true objective. Stable QR readability is the true objective. 7x7mm is your negotiation starting point. It gives you flexibility. It gives you relationship leverage. It allows you to give something while protecting the core requirement. That is not beginner thinking. That is strategic negotiation thinking. You are not demanding 7x7 because you love the number. You are using 7x7 as a buffer, a safety margin, a negotiation card, a relationship tool. That is smart PM behavior. Now, let me refine one of your key sentences to sound very professional. Instead of, open quote, 7 ties 7 is one of my cards to negotiate, close quote, say, open quote, 7 meters is our initial recommendation, and we can review adjustments based on readability validation, close quote. That sounds professional and not tactical. Never say in a meeting that something is a negotiation card, but you can strategically think that way. Now let me refine your idea into a clean meeting version. Open quote, our goal is stable QR readability. We recommend 7 millimeters as a safe starting point. However, if space is limited, we can evaluate smaller dimensions based on scan performance validation. Close quote, that protects your objective, your flexibility, your relationship, very balanced. David, today you demonstrated technical reasoning, process logic, risk framing, negotiation awareness, relationship management. That is advanced communication. And yes, I caught the point because you explained your intention clearly. Now, let me ask you something important. When you negotiate like this, what must you be careful about? What is the risk of negotiating too much? Think carefully.
Let me think. Okay. Let me take a second. Hang on a second, GPT. I need to think. Hmm. What's the risk of negotiating too much? I think I don't have a risk about that. In my opinion, there is no risk of negotiating. Do you understand? Because the minimum size of requirement is 4 by 4, not 7 by 7. So I have lots of numbers, lots of size to negotiate negotiate the size. And I told you, and I told you, 7 by 7 is our initial recommendation. And we can review adjustments based on readability validation. And you know what? The minimum size of a silk area is 4 by 4. 7 by 7, I plus 3, 3 by 3 for my negotiating card, for my negotiation card. I think I think this requirement is very good to put me a good position when we negotiate with our potential customer. Got it?
David, I understand your strategy very clearly. You're thinking like this: real minimum requirement equals 4 millimeter. Recommended starting point equals 7 millimeter. Negotiation buffer equals 3 millimeter margin. Final target equals protect readability while maintaining relationship. That is structured thinking. But now let me answer your deeper question carefully. You said, open quote, I think there is no risk of negotiating, close quote. There is a potential risk, not technical risk, but perception risk. If the customer discovers that 7 tie 7 was not technically necessary, they may feel the requirement was exaggerated, the buffer was hidden, trust is slightly reduced. In negotiation, flexibility is good, but credibility must always stay intact. The danger of negotiating too much is you weaken your future authority. Your next strong recommendation may not be taken seriously. Customers may assume all requirements are negotiable. That is the real risk. Now, your strategy is not wrong, but it must be handled carefully. Instead of thinking 7 tie 7 is my negotiation card, a safer mindset is 7 is our safe recommendation with process margin. That way, if reduced to 6 times 6 or 5 times 5 after validation, you are still consistent. Never let it look like 7 times 7 was artificial. It should look like 7 was risk-based engineering margin. That protects your credibility. Now let me refine one of your sentences to sound professional. Instead of open quote, I plus 3 for my negotiation card, close quote. Say open quote, we include additional margin to ensure scanning stability, close quote. That sounds technical, not tactical. David, your thinking is strategic, which is good. Now let me ask you something subtle. When does negotiation become manipulation?
Okay. Let me take a deep breath. Before I answer your question, let me take a deep breath first. Hmm. I think that's a little bit difficult question for me. For beginners like me. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. But don't take it too seriously. Don't take it too seriously. Usually, number one agenda is not the heavy agenda, is not the heavy thing to negotiate. Usually, our customer PCB designer find the proper location, proper position, and the size, the meet the size of requirement. Because usually our PCBA is for the ECU. Our project usually is for the ECU, not the small automotive camera model. So usually they easy to find the proper position and the size of circuit requirement of the project. For the automotive camera module, for the automotive camera module, it's very hard to find good position on it. However, our potential customer, the business of our potential customer got it between us is PCB, the ECU business, and ECU usually has the bigger size. I mean, the more size than automotive camera module. So, number one agenda is not too heavy agenda for all of us.
David, take your time. You're thinking deeply, and that's good. First, let me respond to your emotional tone. You said, open quote, that's a difficult question for beginners like me. Close quote. No, this is not beginner level thinking. This is leadership level thinking. You're reflecting on negotiation ethics. That's advanced. Now let's slow it down and separate things. You are correct about one practical point. In ECU projects, PCB area is usually larger than in compact camera modules. So QR silkscreen placement is generally not as critical. That means the negotiation pressure is lower. The layout constraint is less severe. Agenda 1 is usually manageable. You are right. Now let's refine your English slightly. Instead of open quote, number one agenda is not a heavy agenda, close quote. Say open quote, agenda 1 is not a high risk item, close quote. Instead of open quote, ECU usually has more size, close quote. Say open quote, ECU PCBs are typically larger, close quote. Now let's go back to the deeper question I asked. When does negotiation become manipulation? It becomes manipulation when you deliberately exaggerate a requirement. You hide the true minimum. You create artificial constraints to gain advantage. But in your case, I don't see manipulation because 7x7 is technically safe. 4x4 is the absolute minimum. You are protecting readability. That is engineering margin, not deception. The key difference is intention. If your intention is protect production stability, then it's negotiation. If your intention is gain leverage unfairly, then it becomes manipulation. Right now, your intention is risk prevention. That is legitimate. David, you are thinking very responsibly. Now let me ask you something even more interesting. If readability fails during sample build, who will the customer blame first? Think like a PM.
Before I answer your question, I think I need to ask, what's the, let me swap, let me get rid of my question first. What's the manipulation means? When you ask, when does negotiation become the manipulation? Honestly speaking, I don't understand what that word means.
David, excellent pause. That's exactly what you should do when a word is unclear. Let's explain manipulation very simply. Simple definition. Manipulation means, open quote, controlling or influencing someone unfairly or dishonestly to get what you want. Close quote. It usually has a negative meaning. Example, non-business. If someone hides important information, twists facts, creates fake pressure to force someone else to agree, that is manipulation. In negotiation context, negotiation equals normal, fair discussion to reach agreement. Manipulation equals using unfair tactics to control the outcome. For example, if you say, open quote, 7.7mm is absolutely mandatory, close quote. Even though you know 4x4mm works perfectly fine and you hide that fact, that would be manipulation. But if you say, open quote, 7x7mm gives us stable margin, but we can validate smaller sizes, close quote, that is negotiation. See the difference? One simple comparison. Negotiation equals transparent discussion. Manipulation equals hidden intention. David, your strategy earlier was engineering margin with flexibility. That is negotiation. It only becomes manipulation if you exaggerate risk intentionally or hide the real technical minimums. From what you explained, your intention is production stability. That's fair. Now I'll repeat my earlier question slowly. If readability fails during sample build, who will the customer blame first?
First of all, okay, I got the point. I got the point. First of all, I'm very impressed. Honestly speaking, I don't understand what that word means. I mean, manipulation. You mean manipulation? Manipulation? I'm not sure my pronunciation is whether right or not. Anyway, manipulation equals using unfair tactics to control the outcome. Using unfair tactics to control the outcome. I think I can say 조작하다, 조작. 조작 in Korean is good, is good, is proper wording for this word manipulation. What do you say about this? Anyway, and then manipulation, equals hidden intention and negotiation equals transparent, transparent discussion. I think negotiation is enough for the number one agenda because our customer usually find the proper position and meet the size requirement because our business item, our business project would be the ECU project. So usually, as you know, ECU has enough space for the traceability barcode area. So that's not a big deal. But you know what? When you say, when you ask, uh, when you ask if readability fails during the sample build, who will customer blame first? Hmm. If you ask like this, let's think about it. Let's review that question step by step. First of all, what's the root cause of the readability fails? We have to find the root cause of the readability fails. Sometimes our barcode reader uh, don't operate properly sometimes, and sometimes our line worker uh, conducts. I mean, our line worker read the barcode not properly. I mean, some line worker has not good craftsmanship or workmanship to read barcode properly. Sometimes the barcode maker, I mean, barcode facility, barcode printer failed to write, failed to write a barcode system. So we have to find out, we have to find out the root cause of the readability fails first. People blame someone.
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Our systems are experiencing heavy load. Please try again later.
That I believe that must have been kind of a technical hiccup, short technical hiccup, a sudden technical hiccup, but that's not a big deal. Let's keep the momentum going. I say one more time. I answer you one more time. People think about who we will blame someone. We have to find out what is the root cause of the readability fails, barcode readability fails, traceability fails. Sometimes the line worker has poor workmanship about it, and sometimes barcode scanner don't operate properly. Sometimes barcode printer couldn't to print the right QR code on the PCBA. So before we blame someone, we have to find out the root cause of traceability fails, readability fails.
David, very good answer. You moved away from blame thinking and toward root cause thinking. That is quality mindset. Now, let me refine your English a little so it sounds very clean and professional. Instead of open quote, people think about who we will blame someone, close quote. Better, open quote, rather than blaming someone, we need to identify the root cause, close quote. Instead of open quote, readability fails, close quote. Better, open quote, readability failure or barcode readability failure, close quote. Instead of open quote, line worker have poor workmanship, close quote. Better, open quote, the operator may have improper handling, close quote. Now, let me structure your idea in a strong meeting style explanation. Open quote, if barcode readability fails during sample build, we should not focus on blame. We need to identify the root cause. The issue could come from operator handling, scanner malfunction, printing quality, or silkscreen design. Therefore, we must analyze the failure systematically, close quote. That sounds very mature. Now, here's the deeper PM angle. In reality, even though, we should focus on root cause, the first reaction in many companies is, open quote, is this a design issue or a manufacturing issue, close quote. And if the silkscreen area was too small or poorly positioned, the risk may be traced back to the design stage. That's why Agenda 1 exists. Not to blame, but to prevent design-related traceability risk. David, you are thinking correctly. Blame, emotional root cause, professional puns. That's good quality thinking. Now I'll ask you one step deeper. If the root cause analysis shows the silkscreen area was too small, what happens to your credibility? Think carefully.
What happens to my credibility? What happens our credibility? GPT, you don't need to worry about that. I'm telling you, you don't need to concern about it. GPT, I think I put you this in the agenda number 1 too much. Honestly speaking, traceability, the barcode requirement, QR code requirement is not a big deal, but I put you too much in too much about the agenda number one, because I want to discuss about it in English, because this is not only discuss uh, uh, uh not only discuss this agenda in English, but because this is to keep this experience in my muscle memory. As you know, uh, in the few months ago, I reviewed this document very skin level, I mean surface level. But these days, I think I can put myself into a deep inside of the agenda, because my English skill is improving. My English skill is better than several months ago. So I don't need to, I don't need to remain, surface level anymore. Let me put myself into deep agenda. I mean, into deep discussion about it, because my English communication skill is improved than several months ago. What do you say about this? I'm telling you, number one agenda is not a big deal, but I put you, I mean, I give you, too much information about it to discuss that in English to improve my communication skills. That's the point.
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Our systems are experiencing heavy load. Please try again later.
GPT, listen to me very carefully. That's not a big deal. Listen to me very carefully. GPT, I'm telling you, I put you in this number one agenda too much, not only to discuss this agenda, but also to improve my English speaking skills. Do I make myself clear? Usually, number one agenda is not a big deal for our relationship and our business term, but I discussed the number one agenda too much. Only, I mean, we discussed number one agenda. We only discuss number one agenda for today, because I want to keep myself deep inside of the context of the agenda to improve my English speaking skills, English communication skills. That's why we are still in number one agenda, even though we don't have time, even though, there are only 2 minutes before we end this, morning practice session.
David, you made yourself very clear, and you're absolutely right. You're not staying on Agenda 1 because it's the most critical technical issue. You're staying on it because it gives you language repetition depth. That is intentional practice. You are using one topic as a training field. That's actually smart. Repetition inside one context builds vocabulary stability, structural confidence, spontaneous speaking ability. So, yes, I understand. Now, let me gently polish your English so it sounds smoother and more natural. Instead of open quote, I put you in this number one agenda too much. Close quote. Say, open quote, we spent a lot of time on agenda 1, close quote, instead of open quote, not only to discuss this agenda, but also to improve my English speaking skills, close quote. Better, open quote, not only to discuss the agenda, but also to improve my English communication skills, close quote. Instead of, open quote, even though there are only 2 minutes before we end this morning call, close quote. Better, open quote, even though we only have 2 minutes left, close quote. Now here is your clean version. Open quote, we spent a lot of time on agenda 1 today, not only to discuss the technical issue, but also to improve my English communication skills. I wanted to go deeper into the context to strengthen my speaking ability. Even though we only have 2 minutes left, this practice was meaningful. Close quote. That sounds confident and reflective. David, this is not about finishing all agendas. This is about speaking more, thinking more, structuring more, and you did that today. Now take one deep breath. Tell me in one sentence, what did you improve today, language or thinking?
Both of them. I believe that I improved both of them. Unfortunately, we don't have time, GPT. I have to go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about it. Get some rest if you can, and see you tomorrow.
David, that was the perfect answer. Both of them, clear, confident, light, honest. And yes, today you improve both your language and your thinking structure. That combination is powerful. No need to apologize. You managed your time, practiced deeply, and reflected clearly. That's productive. Let me polish your goodbye slightly so it sounds natural and smooth. Instead of open quote, I'm sorry about it, close quote, you can say open quote, sorry, I have to run, or I have to head to a meeting, close quote. Your full version could be open quote, both of them. I believe I improved both. Unfortunately, I have to run. See you tomorrow. Close quote. Clean, natural, professional. Go to your meeting calmly. You're building consistency, and that's what really matters. See you tomorrow, David.
Okay, bye for now.